Good evening, and welcome to the DEFCON Warning System's World Theatre Update. This program goes beyond our regular strategic updates. Here, we look at the developments which may not be immediately critical, but shape the conditions that eventually make those top headlines. Trends, pressures, and moves on the global chessboard that help us understand where strategic risk may be headed. Tonight, we have 5 key segments. We begin in the Middle East, where Iranian missile production appears to be rebounding rapidly following the June conflict with Israel. Members of the Israeli Knesset were reportedly told that Iran has resumed large-scale ballistic missile production at a pace described as fast and strategically prioritized. This follows the heavy damage inflicted during Israeli strikes earlier this year. According to those briefings, Tehran's industrial base is recovering far sooner than many expected. At the same time, Iran's Atomic Energy Organization spokesman, Behrouz Kamalvandi, is publicly arguing that IAEA safeguards should be updated for countries under attack. The suggestion is that existing monitoring rules are incompatible with Iran's security environment. This dual track, rapid missile rebuilding and political pressure against traditional nuclear oversight, signals a deliberate hardening of Iran's posture. While none of this indicates imminent nuclear breakout, it does suggest Iran wants greater freedom of maneuver both militarily and diplomatically. And any shift in IAEA access, even rhetorical, can complicate regional confidence and increase miscalculation risks. This will be important to watch as regional powers adjust their own deterrence planning in response. Turning to Europe, the Financial Times reports that European intelligence and law enforcement services have quietly disrupted a series of plots believed to be directed by Russia. These include attempts to sabotage busy trains, ignite shopping centers, open a dam, and even contaminate water supplies. These follow earlier incidents involving parcel bombs and rail disruptions. Researchers note that the types of targets involved closely mirror Cold War-era Soviet sabotage lists, suggesting a possible revival of older doctrine, now applied across the European homeland. Meanwhile, Admiral Giuseppe Carvo Dragwan, the chair of NATO's military committee, states that the alliance is examining much tougher options to counter covert Russian activity. Among these, he notes, is the possibility of preemptive action as a deterrent. This represents a subtle but notable shift. NATO historically responds to incidents after attribution. Discussing preemptive counter-sabotage measures indicates growing concern that hybrid actions could escalate or saturate defenses. While not a military confrontation in the traditional sense, sabotage campaigns can stress public security, economic stability, and political cohesion, areas NATO increasingly considers part of the wider threat spectrum. In Washington, lawmakers have reached a compromise on the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act that would effectively bar major reductions in U.S. forces stationed in Europe and South Korea. The proposed legislation prevents cutting troop levels below roughly 76,000 in Europe and 28,500 in South Korea unless the Pentagon can certify 3 things: that any reduction would not harm U.S. or allied security, that a full national security justification is provided, and that NATO allies and South Korean officials are consulted. The bill is expected to pass both chambers and reach the president's desk before Christmas. This is significant because it codifies the forward military posture into law, making abrupt strategic realignments less likely. For Europe and the Korean Peninsula, both theaters marked by rising uncertainty, this stabilizes expectations and strengthens deterrence simply through predictability. On the other hand, it reduces Washington's flexibility to adjust forces quickly, a point often raised by defense planners. But for allies, this kind of statutory flaw offers reassurance at a time when global security perceptions are shifting. Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, is cautioning that any escalation involving Iran could have significant consequences for the region. He links these risks to unresolved concerns about Iran's nuclear program and what he views as inadequate diplomatic momentum. Qatar is positioning itself as a facilitator of dialogue, arguing that sustainable stability requires diplomacy rather than confrontation. This message aligns with Qatar's long-standing role as a mediator, often bridging communication between parties who otherwise avoid direct engagement. The statement also underscores a broader concern among Gulf states. Even limited escalation with Iran can ripple across energy markets, shipping routes, and domestic stability. Given recent missile activity, nuclear oversight tensions, and regional realignments, Qatar's warning is less about predicting conflict and more about urging restraint in a climate of increasing friction. Finally tonight, the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defence has confirmed it will begin reducing overseas military training exercises outside Europe starting next year. This follows the 2025 Strategic Defence Review and reflects a realignment toward NATO and Euro-Atlantic priorities. In short, British forces will devote more time and resources to European deterrence and less to global stabilization missions farther afield. This should be viewed as part of a broader trend, NATO members concentrating capability within the European theatre due to increased Russian activity, hybrid threats, and concerns about long-term strategic competition. While not a reduction in capability, it is a redistribution, one that signals where London believes future risks are likely to emerge. That's our World Theatre update for this edition. As always, the DEFCON Warning System monitors these developments continuously. While none of tonight's stories individually signals an immediate shift in nuclear posture, collectively they help map the pressures shaping tomorrow's headlines. For ongoing updates, visit our website at defconwarningsystem.com and follow our regular briefings. Thank you for watching. Remember, stay informed, stay aware, and stay safe. We'll see you next time.